What's good, y'all? My name is Nick. Welcome back to the channel. This is a channel that I talk about kicks on. Sneaker history is my thing after 15, 20 years of working in the footwear industry for companies like Complex and StockX and Soul Collector and you name it. I've probably done some form of work for the brand or the partners of the brands in the footwear industry. Today, I'm going to go through my entire sneaker wall because it's getting a little tired, needs a little bit of a makeover. Just needed to look a little bit different and have a little bit of a different look and feel in my office here. So I thought I'd walk you through all these shoes. So this might be a long ass video, but I'm going to tell you a story about every shoe and why it's on the wall basically. So let's get into it. Let's start at the very top up here and we'll go across and we'll work our way down maybe, or something like that. Okay, so this is the Larry June Lakai collab from a few years back. This is just one of my favorite rappers, hip-hop artists, and Lakai, although they have been bought and sold and changed hands many times, this is the Telford. This is just kind of one of their classic silhouettes. Obviously some Jordan inspiration there, but one of my favorite shoes. Haven't worn it because I just didn't want to mess them up, but I think they are probably going to get put on the rotation sometime in the next few months because it's just time that I wear more of my shoes. So that's the Lakai Telford Larry June collab. If you've been on the Sneaker History Discord, you know this shoe is one of my absolute favorites. This is the extra large. Oh man, let's get some focus here. Here we go. This is the extra large kind of runner from the 90s. I forget when this actually came out. Might have been late 90s, mid to late 90s. This is actually an original pair from them. Extra large, obviously a huge brand. Started with like the Beastie Boys back in the day and became like an LA streetwear, California streetwear staple. I want to say they started back in like, yeah, I can't remember, but I want to say they started like 92 or 90. They were kind of the predecessor to the Supremes of the world, I should say, the Huffs of the world. But this is kind of a cool detail. Yeah, haven't worn these obviously because if I did, they probably would not last very long. But maybe I need to. Okay, up next, absolute favorite Converse Chuck Taylor of all time. Really just a personal story, probably one I won't really get too deep into, but this is the John Lennon Peace Chuck Taylor. I want to say this is from like 2003 or 4 or something like that. Basically, this is just peace in all of these different languages from around the world. Kind of just a beautiful shoe. You can't really go wrong with Chucks, and I'm a huge Beatles fan. I was a huge fan of the Beatles because of my dad and my uncle. So one thing that I notice about this, there's a lot of talk about the Converse Chuck Taylor in the world of sneakers being a sandal or a slide or whatever, so Nike can save money. This is pre-Nike owning the brand. So this is an all rubber outsole, which is kind of an interesting detail, you know? All right, if you follow Sneaker History on Instagram, which you should, this is my favorite pair of Grant Hills. It is a Grant Hill Fila 96 that is based off of the Tupac album, which he wore the Grant Hill Fila 2s. Back in 1996, All Eyes on Me. This bottom is amazing, translucent. You can see All Eyes on Me there on the insole. Maybe you can't see that, but beautiful shoe. Got the paisley print, kind of bandana vibes on the inside. Haven't worn this one yet either, but I kind of just bought this one because, I mean, I've got Tupac albums out almost at all times, so this is just an important shoe to me. And it released in Japan, I want to say in like 2016 or something like that, and I was able to find my size, which is incredible. So yeah, that's one of my favorites from my collection. All right, this is the official Sneaker History blazer created by Gregatron. This has SH on the back. The other one up there has NE on the back because it is my personal pair. Greg made these for the guys that host the show with me and myself back in I want to say back in like 2020, 2021. And Sneaker History colors, classic colorway, blazer, perfect shoe. I have mixed feelings about whether I should wear this or not. I kind of cherish it too much to wear it, but I also want to wear them all the time. So, I don't know. Thanks again, Greg. This is just an important shoe to me, and I love you guys for supporting. Thank you. The details on this one, too, I should show you this one, because Greg sent these with the shoe. So he had a keychain made and a magnifying glass, because that was a part of our logo. Obviously it's a little dusty sitting up there, but this was just such a cool thing. Had the logo put on the hang tag. If we did a Sneaker History collab, this would absolutely be the way that it looked, in my opinion, or very close to it, let's say. So, all right, last one on the top. This is kind of a fun one. This is the Move Fast. No, not a Chuck Taylor. It's actually a Facebook shoe. This is given to employees and available to employees at Facebook. So you can see the insole there. It says Facebook. I've never worn these. These were given to me by my friend Jay. She worked with me at Finish Line for a few years, and worked for Facebook. And yeah, these are just an awesome, kind of cool, you kind of expect to see like this, I guess, bootleg style. But, like it's obviously a Chuck Taylor, but then to put the thumbs up like, on the back is a cool feature to have. So I'm super stoked to have these. Haven't worn them because I just don't want to mess them up. More of a collector's piece to me. All right, so should we go back and forth? Let's go this way. So this shoe is the Gerald Green. I want to say this is for when he was with the Phoenix Suns. This is a PE Reebok Question. So this was also the year that they put the pump on the Reebok Question, which is a super crazy idea by itself. But obviously, Reebok Question, one of my favorite shoes of all time. All orange with a little bit of purple. I might prefer black or royal blue, but this is one that I just had to have, and it's totally tonal, all the same. I do wish the PEs on the Reeboks had a little bit of... I do wish the Reebok PEs had a little bit more details on the actual like laces, because they don't ever do anything on the eyelets, on the aglets. But, like it's a beautiful shoe. It's got the Reebok on one side and the logo's on the other. One step up on my favorite questions is this Brandon Jennings PE that was created for him when he was on the Knicks. I would say that this is probably top 3 questions for me of all time, which is why it stays on the wall and I don't wear it. Brandon Jennings obviously is a character in the world of sneakers, in the world of social media and basketball. But for a while there, after his Under Armour days, which I used to have the prototype too that he wore, on the wall, but I'll have to get that one back out of storage and maybe put it up in the next round. But this colorway, Nick's colorways, are some of my favorite, you know. But this colorway, Nick's colorways, are some of my favorite colors for anything, but like just sneakers in general. Obviously, I'm wearing blue. As a Giants fan, I wear a lot of orange. Blue being one of my favorite colors behind orange. Absolute banger of a shoe right here. Haven't worn it because, man, I just don't want it to get messed up. It's super nice suede. If you've ever experienced the LeBron PEs from the 7 or the 8 back in the day, the suede, super, super crispy, buttery, amazing. I would say that this actually rivals that. That's how good the quality is on this shoe. All right, next up, one of, if not the greatest Air Max, or I guess I should say Nike Air, because we don't know that this is Nike Air or Nike Air Max. The 180 OPMs, if you are a longtime sneakerhead, you know that this is just one of the absolute killer colorways with the camo on the back and on the tongue, the bright neon laces, Volt laces, black leather, buttery, man. These are so good. Purple and red on the bottom. Obviously, I've worn these quite a bit. I've had this is my third pair of these I've actually worn through, and these are on their last legs. They need some Mario Restores assistance to get them up to standards where I can wear them. But Paris is a store Opium is a store in Paris, and there's their branding on the insole on that one. I can't remember exactly when these came out. I want to say 2006, 2005. So a little late on that, but 20 years old. Obviously not something I can wear anymore. But one day I'm going to get these resoled with some new 180 midsole outsoles and be able to wear them. The 180 being one of my favorite Nike Air shoes. Sorry, guys. This is the Soul Collector Cowboy 180. This is the Soul Collector Cowboy 180. You might have seen this in an earlier video, but this is one of 140 that were made, number 128, in my size 13. It's got the Nike ID, Nike Air. I think it's got the Soul Collector branding in there as well. Might be able to see that. But this is just one of those crazy colorways from the Soul Collector era that I think just kind of exemplifies how crazy things were and how creative things got to be back then. So you can kind of see the star there on the toe box in the perforations, which is, you know, just something you don't really see a whole lot of. You definitely didn't see a whole lot of it back then. You would have never seen this this green snakeskin with pink, but beautiful shoe. Shout out to the guys from Soul Collector. This is another one of those shoes that I will definitely need to get resold at some point, so I can wear them again, which is probably the case for most of my Soul Collector collabs, considering that was a long, long time ago. If you know, I am a huge Formula One fan. Exhaust Formula One podcast. We are the world's most inconsistent Formula One podcast, but when Todd and Rowan and I get on and talk Formula One, we're talking about stuff like this, but we're talking about, Todd and I are huge fans of McLaren Formula One, which I don't know if anybody's seen this. This was a freebie that they did years ago that I somehow found on eBay. But I'll put that down and I'll show you that this is the Puma Nitro McLaren team issued shoe from 2019, maybe? I don't actually see a date in there. But one of my favorite pairs, because I just think it's so cool that these guys got their own, you know, kind of PEs to be a part of the team. You know, I think that's super cool. I actually collect a lot of Formula One shoes, and one day I'll get all those together and share them. But I've got about 30 of them now. Not necessarily all Formula One Formula One, racing, NASCAR, there's a variety of them. So the brands don't do a good job, in my opinion, of elevating these kind of stories, mainly because this is just made for the team and for that partnership. And, you know, like, this model is obviously not something that's going to get a lot of attention outside of this. So they want something that's going to just be lightweight, cushioned, and breathable for the guys to wear in the pits, because most of those races take place in pretty extreme heat conditions. And obviously, you know, the function of it is more important than the actual, like, look and feel. You wouldn't want to be running around working on, you know, Formula One cars in a pair of SB Dunks or Jordan 1s or something, or anything that's old like that, because it would just not be comfortable. So this shoe, super important to me. Lucky to have found it on eBay years ago, but it stayed on the wall for quite a while now, and eventually I will actually wear it again. It's been a while since I've worn it, but I usually wear it to events. This is another Formula One inspired shoe. This is the Reebok F1 pack from, I want to say like 2010. This might be a 2008 actually. But this is obviously McLaren Mercedes back then was silver. Just a great looking shoe. Obviously the Pump Fury is one of my favorite shoes of all time, but to have this whole pack, which we'll get through. Actually, let me just pull them out now so you can see them. I've got McLaren Mercedes. I've got obviously Ferrari here, and this is actually my favorite, which is kind of like the, this is actually my favorite, that's kind of like the Lotus, kind of classic Lotus racing colors with the black and gold. But yeah, this pack, is crazy. This pack is just amazing. Like, look at this carbon fiber. And then they did it with red carbon fiber? Are you kidding me? Reebok didn't get enough credit for this one. Formula One wasn't as popular back then, but man, I mean, look at this. Silver carbon fiber, red carbon fiber, and real carbon fiber. Just a cool looking classic shoe. Also, of course, they've got the carbon fiber from the Pump Fury, which, if I'm right, the Pump Fury was like the first running shoe to have carbon fiber. The Shack Attack, I think, was the first shoe to have carbon fiber. 92, and these dropped in 94, which is kind of a big deal, but I might be off on that. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Another Formula One shoe. This is the Zoom Turf Schumacher edition. This one actually has the Schumacher, this is the original from 97, so it has the Schumacher signature stitched into the midfoot strap. These are obviously crumbling and falling to pieces, but nevertheless, an important shoe, probably one of my favorite shoes of all time. As you may see towards the end of this video, a little bit more about this shoe. But got to keep it up here because it's just too important to not talk about. I'm going to bounce around a little bit because this is another Formula One shoe. Well, I say Formula One. It's really just Michael Schumacher. This is the Zoom Air Super. This is the Super Zoom, I believe. Again, has Schumacher's signature there on the midfoot strap. Another shoe that I really can't wear, but added to the collection years and years and years ago, and has been mostly on display since, but they are my size, so I guess I could wear them. All right, where are we at here? This one doesn't really need to get talked about too much, but if you know me, you know the Black Cement 3 is one of my absolute favorite shoes, probably a top 2 or 3 shoe, and this one is, 2016, 17, whenever these came out, 2018. You can see it's been through a lot, worn a lot, beat up a lot. That's kind of my go-to if I want to wear a pair of Jordans, is the Black Cement 3s. All right. I guess I'll just bounce around here. Another Air Max that needs to have some restoration done. This is the Cowboy Air Max 95, another Soul Collector collab. This one is number 269 out of 300 made. Obviously, the Soul Collector collabs, being that they came out, 20 years ago now. I guess 2020, it's about to be 2026. This one was from, it's produced in March 2nd of 2006, so it's going on 20 years. I need to get this resold with hopefully a big bubble unit. Like, that's kind of my goal. But this buffalo print is kind of what they called it back in the day, but it's basically a black elephant print, and then the rainbow colors, another Soul Collector exclusive. Limited, you had to chase them. I'm just lucky that I got to be a part of that team, and it became a little bit easier to hunt those shoes down for me over the years, but I do miss Soul Collector quite a bit. I do miss the old Soul Collector, I should say. All right, another one for the Air Max that needs to be restored. I've worn this pair just a few times through the years. This is the Air Max 90 Nike Town San Francisco exclusive. I want to say there's about 70 pairs of these. This is actually like a sample tag even, which is kind of crazy considering, most shoes back then were actually productions in limited quantities. But I can't really wear this anymore. It needs to be, I don't know what to do with them. They're too good to let go of. My favorite Air Max 90 of all time. Doesn't have, this one has the SF badging on it too, which is just bananas. I wish we got more of this kind of stuff. But this colorway, obviously being a Giants fan, this is like one of those perfect shoes for me, which, I couldn't not wear it, but I was able to pick these up off of eBay. I don't even know, maybe like 15 years ago. When was this? This is 2000. Doesn't even have a season on it. When was Nike Town around? I can't remember. That's forever ago. I'm old. I'm washed. I can't even remember. But lined up for them, didn't get them. Ended up picking them up later on down the road. If you know, I'm an Allen Iverson fan. Huge fan of Allen Iverson, I should say. Georgetown was a school. I actually considered Georgetown as a school because my uncle lived in that area. But this is one of the coolest pairs that I have in terms of like the hype world. But these are just important for me because they were given to me by Marco, who has been a part of the sneaker world for a long time. If you haven't followed him, he's Marco Henry on all the platforms. He's worked for Jordan, Nike. I think I met him when he was working at Twitter, maybe. He wrote for us at Finish Line back in the day. And this was a pair that he gifted me a few years back when he was still at Jordan Brand. And as a thank you for kind of putting him on and giving him his start in the sneaker world. And Marco, man, I'm just super grateful for these still. 3 Georgetown colors and a personal connection to it. That's basically what this whole wall is about, if you haven't noticed. So, all right, I'm gonna jump into these 2 Reeboks because they are both what I would say are some of my favorites of all time. This is the Isaiah Thomas PE for when he was a Sacramento King, Mr. Irrelevant, let's say. It actually says that in there. Well, you're not going to be able to see it. And this is the pre-PE version of the Reebok question that I always thought was closest to the King's colors, because not only is it my favorite alcohol, Crown Royal, but it's also kind of that Kings era where they use the gold, which, to be honest, I'm not a fan of those jerseys. Sorry, Sacramento Kings. But it is a good memory for me, so I've actually got a couple of pairs of this particular colorway, and it's just a beautiful shoe, man. Like, the material is super different from all the others that are out there. This one has a gray toe box on it, which I think is super dope. yeah, these are just, can you tell I like Reebok questions? All right. Speaking of Reebok questions, let's talk about two of the greatest undefeated collaborations of all time. Complex somehow missed these, but this was one of... Complex somehow missed putting these on their recent list, but this is absolutely one of my favorite undefeated shoes, if not my favorite undefeated shoe. They switched it up. They put Iverson on the side for this one. I have two pairs of this. One of them's super beat. This one is not my size. This one is my size. If you do have a size 13 of the multicolor undefeated questions, I don't know, maybe hit me up and we can trade or something so I can actually wear these. But I've worn these tons. You've seen it before. You'll probably see it again. I also love that they put answer on the eyelets, which was just a nice twist for this one. And the quote is the most Allen Iverson quote of all time. There's going to be a million people that love Allen Iverson. There's going to be a billion people that hate Allen Iverson. Concentrate on the ones that care and keep stepping. Okay, I think that might be it for Reebok questions, but 6 of my 65 or so shoes that are on the wall are Reebok questions. Okay, this is absolutely a banger. Soul Collector, Nike Air Max, Nike Air Trainer 1. Need to clean these up because the bubble is getting all fricked up, but this is based off of the Trainer SC2, which you can see in there. Zach Dubasic did this colorway with Nick DePaula, and yeah, I was just lucky to be a part of this. I actually just ran into Patrick, who went by QuickWorks. I don't know if he still goes by QuickWorks, but used to shoot a lot of photos for the Soul Collector community and team back in the day when the forums were popping. And he caught me in those shoes at the launch of another shoe that I don't know if it's on this wall. We'll have to see. But I was wearing these, so cool story. Another Soul Collector shoe, the Zoom Revis from Nike. This is a 49ers colorway. I want to say that Brennan Williams did this colorway. If not, he did the kind of neon colorway, but this is kind of a Soul Collector era for me. This shoe is just super comfortable too, so I've worn it a ton. It's super dirty, but it's just one of those shoes that, like, if you know that it came from Soul Collector, then it's clearly an important shoe. This is 2013. Wow, man, I'm old. But just a great, I mean, this is Zoom Revis, super underrated shoe. I think the Zoom Revis is a super underrated shoe. I think this shoe deserves way more credit for what it was. But yeah, this being a Soul Collector exclusive, but not branded as Soul Collector, makes it a little interesting. And it's one of those if you know shoes, which makes it even more fun to wear and have somebody actually recognize it. All right. Gonna go with another Soul Collector shoe. This one is the Hyperdunk 2010. This is the forum shoe, basically. We hit 200,000 members, 10 years, and we made a shoe to kind of celebrate all the people that were a part of that journey. So this was that 2010, and then we got the 200K on the back heel of them. I wear this one a lot. It's just a shoe that's fun to wear. I love this color combination. It's kind of similar to that Trainer 1 vibe, but Soul Collector colors in general kind of all had a very similar color after a certain era. So once you got through the cowboy era and you got into like 2008, 2009, when I started working with the company, a lot of the colors had a very similar vibe with that kind of Citroen Volt. Speaking of, this is one of my favorite shoes of all time. You've probably seen me talk about it. If you've been around for a while, you know this is an important shoe to me. This has my initials on the side of it here. I don't know know if you can see that or not, but there we go. Any, that's me, not to be confused with New Edition. But yeah, absolutely one of my favorites. I also love that Nick DiPaola did the SC and the 916 for Sacramento, kind of that Kings logo play. But yeah, my favorite, one of my absolute favorite shoes. Got a couple of these too because I've worn the other one a lot. This one still is dead stock, even though it looks like it's been worn. I have not worn this pair. I probably never will because it's, who knows if I'll ever get my name on a shoe again, to be honest. All right, let's go a little bit further down here, getting into a couple of Adidas shoes that I absolutely love. All right, this was one of the first shoes that I wrote about for the East Bay blog because I was blown away that they actually got this in stock. So this is a Slick collab. If you know Slick, he does the LA Hands, which is pretty popular. This is before the LA Hands, actually, before the LA Hands became popular, but Artillery Mid, classic shoe, beautiful, slick kind of graffiti vibe to it. And just, I mean, it's just one of those shoes that like is, it's just like, it makes me feel something. You know what I mean? So I had to get these. I've only worn them a couple of times, but this is one of my favorite shoes. I want to say this is from like 2009 or something like that. Yep, 2009. All right, next up we've got what I would say is the best Adidas superstar of all time, but I'm also just a fan of Extra Large. This is their collab. I want to say this is probably from 2009 as well. The multicolor, you can tell the multicolor is obviously something that I really like. They had all of these. Oh, there we go. So 1991 is when Extra Large started, because Getting No Respect since 1991 is what's on these laces. I've only swapped out the laces a couple of times because it's just a pain, but that's just because I'm lazy. This shoe is just phenomenal. Snakeskin, Extra Large branding, obviously on the side stripe and on the heel, and then in the insole as well you've got like this co-branded thing in here. You can't really see it, but this is one of those shoes that I wear pretty regularly, but just the crazy finish on this, so good. I really love this blue on the inside toe. That's just a beautiful color to me. It's one of my favorite colors, but they just killed it with this, in my opinion. And I'm all for super colorful shoes, especially when I haven't been wearing super colorful shoes as much. All right, let's close those up. Okay, we'll work our way across and we'll get into some of the early stuff, but this needs really no explanation. This is my Tiffany Dunks. This is kind of the beater pair. I have another pair that is actually listed on eBay if you want to pick it up. I'm trying to pay some rent, but I don't really need to talk about a Tiffany Dunk. It's a perfect dunk. It's a beautiful pair. It's obviously been worn and beat up, and I try to keep it as nice as possible, but also wear it a ton, so can't really get too much more out of this shoe. This is, I want to say, my fourth pair of Tiffany's. That sounds crazy to say. Like, who needs to buy the same shoe 4 times? This guy. All right, next up we've got one of the most important shoes in my collection, at least to me, Tuskegee Airman Nike Air Raid. This shoe is one of those shoes that I think just tells an important story that needs to be told over and over again, and I think this is from like 2004 or something. 2004, so probably released in 2005. Tuskegee Airman. I mean, this is just a beautiful shoe, but it's the flight bomber jacket kind of vibe. And I don't want to get into their story because there's too deep and there's too much going on, but they are one of the most important figures in American military history, but probably just in American history. It's why you see Tuskegee Airmen highway, memorial highways all over the place. This pair, I think, is a part of a four pair collection that came out in 2005. But the Air Raid, one of my favorite shoes of all time. So like this one is just one of those ones that I've worn a bunch, but absolutely love it. Hopefully it stays together as long as I can possibly wear it, because I don't think the brands tell those stories enough. And this is an example of how it's done properly, but 20 years ago. So tell it again. It needs to be repeated so we don't forget these important moments and these important people that shaped our history. All right. This is my first pair of shoes. My grandma, they're Pro Wings. My grandma saved them for me. I've had them in my collection for as long as I've been alive, basically. I got these when I was about 1 year old, a little over 1 year old, apparently, according to my grandma, who saved them for me, gave them to me kind of a few years back when I really got into sneakers, and has since passed away. So shout out to Grandma for putting me on to sneakers and getting me into collecting. We're going to go through some kids stuff, apparently. Here's a original Answer 5 kids shoe. A Reebok Answer 5 kids shoe, I should say. I don't have kids. I always thought that I would. Maybe I will someday. But I bought all of these little crazy shoes back in the day because I was like, 20 years from now or whenever it is, I'll have my own kids. So some of my favorite shoes that I was never able to get for myself, like these Chris Webber shoes. This is the Air Max CW, or what became the Air Max sensation. But look at that CW logo, number 2 for the Washington Bullets short era that he played there. This, I think, is the best. I'm biased. Chris Webber is one of my favorite players of all time. I have a huge connection to him throughout my life in a lot of different ways, remotely, I guess. But I'll get into that in another video. But basically, I've been a fan of his since I was in 5th grade, and he was in 10th grade. So that has always pushed me towards his shoes, his stories, and kind of just kept me collecting whatever I could of his. But I always missed that they got rid of the CW logo, because this was his original logo with Nike, and obviously he left Nike a few years after and has been with tons of brands, including Reebok, wore some cool Iversons when he played for the Kings. But this is just the kids version, and I just think having that is super special. Here's another kind of classic. These are not OGs. I think these are the 2001s. But this is just a kid's Jordan 3 black cement, Nike Air on the back. These are one of my favorite shoes. The Diamond Fury. King Griffey Jr. PE colorway. I wish that they would bring back the Diamond Fury and do it properly, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But this was always one of my favorites to hang on to. I think I got these from... Who did I get these from? It's 94. I can't remember now. Going a little step further, you got the Reebok Answer, the tiny boot. This has like it's wearing out now, but this is like the tiniest old school Answer original for the kids. And then one of my favorite shoes, obviously, the Pump Fury, but the kids' Pump Fury. So instead of the pump, they squeak. Good job, Reebok. Uh-oh. Dog came in. I got a couple others in here. I probably won't go through all these kids ones because I do have a pretty decent sized collection. But here's OG Question Lows, kids version, and a few other questions in there. But we'll get into that in another video. I feel like I could do a whole video on my kids' collection, to be honest. So maybe that's a thing in the future. All right, one of my absolute favorite shoes, Puma Disc Blaze. I love weird, crazy, experimental shoes, let's say, and I think the Puma Disc Blaze is exactly that. This is the Kith, Ronnie Feig, Colette collaboration from who knows when. But absolutely one of my favorite shoes of all time. This colorway is just beautiful. Could wear it with this today and I'd be all gang banged out, basically. On another Kith note, this is the second run of the Kith non-native United Arrows and Sons, actually. 997.5, I want to say. But this is, when is this? 2018? No, this is further back. No, 2018 might be right. Absolutely one of my favorite New Balance 997s of all time. Perfect colors. 997 being a perfect shoe. I need to get another pair of these because I've worn these a ton and they are obviously pretty beat up. But one of the details that I love about this shoe is the 997 label is actually like a rubberized version, and then it's got the New Balance on the inside. I just think that's super cool. Like little things like that, just, I don't know, they just get me so excited. Like even just that, like the New Balance being in multicolor stitching on the back, it's so good. Like those details just make so much, they make a shoe. They just make a shoe so awesome. Couple of crazy Jordan shoes that you won't see probably anywhere else. This is the Marquette breast cancer awareness shoe, the Mellow M10 for Marquette. This is 2014, so Dwayne Wade played at Marquette, and this is when he was with Jordan Brand. The flight plate technology of this shoe, along with the Jordan 28, still I think is some of the most comfortable basketball cushioning ever. Shout out to Matt McDonald for hooking me up with this one. This is just a crazy beautiful shoe and colors that you just would not see outside of some sort of PE, in my opinion, or at least back then you wouldn't have. All right, we've got the Chris Paul CP3-2. This is the Nice Kicks version. This was given to the Nice Kicks team when I worked at Nice Kicks. This is 2008, 9, something like that. If you'll notice that the logo is actually not the logo for Nice Kicks is actually not the logo that they end up using or use nowadays. It was in the process of being changed, and I think, you know, the back and forth, they ended up going a different direction with the company's logo after that. But yeah, I was a part of the original people that were hired at Nice Kicks. So I moved to Austin, Texas, and Matt Halfhill and his ex-wife Allison were working on the business at that point. They put a post up on Craigslist, and I literally skipped the job that I was supposed to start that day, went and interviewed instead. Ended up getting hired with George Keel, Greg Grovey. George Keel, Sports Dissected, Greg Grovey, Kicking at ATX, and Peter Sim, who I want to say is with, sorry Peter, I forgot what label you're working with now, but works in the music industry, does a lot of cool shit. And we all got these shoes. So like this is one of those shoes that, you know, there's only maybe 10 of them around, and it just happens to be like my favorite Chris Paul shoe, and it happens to be my favorite color combination, black and infrared. And the story of this shoe is that Matt Halfhill gifted Chris Paul a pair of shoes, a pair of Jordans, I want to say they're Flint 13s, that they were stolen from his locker in high school. And as a gift to our team for Matt's generosity of hunting those shoes down and giving to them, they made these for the Nice Kicks team. So this colorway was exclusive to Nice Kicks team back then, which is just crazy to think about being a part of something like that. And I'm just so grateful to have had these experiences I've had with my friends and with people that I appreciate and respect and have built so many cool things with over the years. So obviously that's why it's on the wall. All right, man. All right, we're gonna go back. Ooh, we do have another Reebok question. I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. This is the 10th anniversary, I want to say. This was there was a white one, a light blue one, and this one, and I have the others somewhere. I hope I still have them. But this is just a beautiful colorway, kind of similar to that infrared. It's not quite the red that you usually see on the questions. It's more pinkish. It was a little bit more red back in the day, but it's really close to infrared, which I really love and have worn that shoe quite a bit. All right. I don't condone having any shoes that are for the Yankees, but if I was going to, if I do, it would be the Soul Collector New York City event. This is another kind of 2007-ish event, I want to say, I think. Let's see here. Oh, 2005. So this is 2006 that these came out. I think these are limited to 300 pairs too, right? Oh, these are limited to 226 pairs. This is obviously Yankees colors. The navy and white looks awesome. Patent leather on the dunk. This was kind of like, all these shoes from that era were really similar and used materials from like the what was it? 255 Studio? I'm gonna have to look that up. I can't even remember right now. But Yankees colors, these details are pretty sweet too. If you can see that kind of lasering. That era was such a cool time to be a part of sneakers and to be doing all this stuff. So, yeah, good pair, beautiful colors, very well done. Also came with like the Nike ID. Here's the date on it, November 17th, 2005. I did not go to that event, by the way. I wasn't in New York by that time or yet. Moving down to a couple pairs of Jordans. This is my favorite pair of Jordan 1s. You already know what it is. Royals. This is 2013 pair probably. You can tell I've worn them because I got my Move insoles in there. But I don't know, just perfect shoe. Perfect shoe. I just always loved the Royals because they were different than everybody else's Chicago colors. Obviously I like blue a lot too. Another favorite, Jordan Aleli May Jordan 1s. This is for the Raiders, and the colors on this, I haven't worn these, but the colors on these and the materials are absolutely insane. If you ever get a chance to buy a pair of these, buy them. I think this is probably one of my favorite Jordan 1s of all time, just because she did such a good job with the materials, the satin, the kind of chenille on the swoosh. Just, I can't say enough about the materials on these. All right, where are we at here? Let's just go down to the bottom on this side and then we'll work our way across. So we got two pairs of Adidas. This is my favorite T-Mac shoe of all time. This is a T-Mac 3. I absolutely love basically all T-Macs, but the 3 to me kind of captures that crazy era of the early 2000s with the silky smooth styles, the and one vibes that all the brands were going for. And the T-Mac 3 I think is probably the best of all of those shoes in my opinion. I love this like tiny 3-stripe logo on the midfoot. Obviously like all of this stuff is just so, these are retros from a few years back, but I mean just T-Mac was unbelievable. Super underrated even, I would say. I don't know how you can say that about T-Mac because he was obviously incredible, but man, T-Mac 3, one of my favorites. Glad to have gotten those retros so I could wear them again. This is the Mastermind Pro model. I want to say these are probably like a 2009 or 2010 shoe. 2013. Man, my mind is not working, as you can tell. This is a super dope. I just love that endorsed by logo with the skull and crossbones. But Mastermind Japan is one of my favorite brands. Probably second to Neighborhood, which I'm usually wearing. And this particular shoe, just super, super plush. Leather foot liner, footbed, great shoe. Wore it a ton. Probably need to wear it again because I haven't for a while. All right, let's see what else we got. So I got a bunch of fitteds on here, as you can see, and that's a whole different thing. We haven't been doing the Crown and Stitch podcast, but one day maybe I'll go through all my fitteds here. But let's get into more of these shoes down here on the bottom. We're heading into the final stretch. We've got about maybe 10 or 15 pairs left. So first up, this is one of the other Soul Collector shoes that I mentioned or about to mention. This is the Comfort 11, Air Jordan 11 SC. This is the event that Patrick got my photo wearing the others on. This pair is worn. I've got another pair on ice, I believe. Converse Wade. Converse Wade is arguably Converse's second best basketball shoe behind the All-Star 2000 in the blue ice colorway, but I never got a pair. So if you find a pair, size 13, I need them. But Converse Wade, I mean, now it's kind of normal or seems normal, but I want to say that the Converse Wade was 2006, which was the first time somebody got a first signature model and won the championship in that same year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Also, just look at the back of this. This is such a good logo, you know? These are probably done, but maybe I'll wear them again. All right. This is a pair that if you were around for this release, you know how special this was. Back in the day, you didn't have leagues sponsoring doing limited stuff, doing really interesting stuff, to be honest. You either had league branded shoes like you did in the NFL, or you had, maybe you'd have some form of a logo, but usually it was like a generic Reebok shoe had like a 49ers logo on it. So this Vans shoe is probably from 2011 or 12. And it's super, super limited. Let's see if you can actually see that. Well, you can see it on there maybe. Yeah. 9 out of 12. One of the most limited shoes that I own, the Vans Era LX San Francisco Giants. This is before they were putting team logos on shoes like this, and they've done it a few times since. Never as limited as this. These are limited to 12 pairs. This one's not my size. If you have a size 12 or 13, I will trade you. This is a size 11, but it came with a Vans Giants jersey, which is not in here, but one of 12 made. I feel so lucky to have landed these. They've released at Huff. That's why you see Huff on the box. And I mean, just how insane is that? 9 of 12, limited edition run. It's like, I think they just, it almost looks like they added the sticker for Major League Baseball as an afterthought. But Black and Flame. Could you describe a black and orange shoe better? Black and Flame. Go Giants, even though they sucked this last few months. But I want to wear these, but there's no way I can squeeze into a size 11. All right. One more. New Balance 998s. This was the very first pair of New Balance that I was gifted. I covered the opening of a store that they did in San Francisco, which is no longer around, but this was kind of the era of the first bubble up of retro product from New Balance. So I want to say like 2011 or something. And this is just a beautifully made in the USA shoe, perfect colors, like kind of the brown, the dark red, the burgundy. As you can see, gets worn pretty regularly. It's pretty beat up and gross, but one of my favorite shoes of all time, but also just a part of my story working in the sneaker business. All right, this is just another New Balance shoe that I love, that I wear pretty regularly. Excuse me. This is the 577, but this is the Flying the Flag, kind of an ode to the Made in England pairs. So it had the Made in England on the tongue, and then obviously the flag on the back, but New Balance all gray, can't go wrong. One of my favorite pairs, just because it's kind of just classic New Balance, and I can't remember that collection what the deal was, but yeah, 577 is super underrated. It's good shape. All right, one more New Balance that I have not worn. It's funny, I don't have any 1500s, and the 1500 and I have the 997, but the 1500 also my favorite, right up there with the 997. But 1300, this pair is obviously a dead stock pair. I can't remember how or why or what these are. I want to say this is like a Paul Bunyan or a Union, some sort of like outdoorsy pack that they did with New Balance Made in the USA stuff. So this one's probably 2012 or something like that, 2013. Just a good colorway, but I haven't worn it, so I probably should just let it go and let somebody else take it. All right. This pair is the Nike Court Challenge Low 2, I think. Nike Court Challenge Low. Yeah, Nike Court Challenge Low 2. I posted these a while back because this is kind of the hot lava colorway, but this is not a Agassi shoe per se. This was kind of one of the takedowns that didn't really get as much like attention back in the day, but that's also how I ended up getting it, because obviously I didn't have money for sneakers back then, and this is original, like hard as a rock midsoles. But I posted these up because Matt Welty wrote a great piece and interviewed Andre Agassi. You should go check it out. One of his idols, but also one of the reasons that I got into sneakers was Andre Agassi, and this was my first tennis shoe. So this particular one is just one of those ones that's near and dear to my heart, even though it's not the cool Tech Challenge or whatever other version of Agassi's that you want to highlight. All right, I'm gonna go with these two together because if you know what these colorways are, you will definitely know what these shoes are. The Pump Fury, as I've said many times, is one of my favorite shoes of all time. I love weird shoes. I love shoes that are different than the rest. That's why those Puma discs have always been a huge shoe for me. But these are inspired by the Michael Chang shoe. So you got the Michael Chang colorways on the Pump Fury, and this is the Shaq Attack in the Pump Fury. They did a really good job on these materials too. As you can see, it's like super soft. I wish you could just feel it through the camera, but both of these are super, super soft materials. And then that like kind of ballistic mesh, which it's just a perfect shoe. Hang tags are super nice too. I'm not sure what that logo is. Oh, maybe 25th anniversary? Is that what that is? '94? Is that what that would be? 94? Maybe these came out in 20? I don't remember. I'm old, guys. I'm old. I'm old and washed. All right. One of my favorite shoes of all time from Nike specifically, the Trainer 1 from 2009. I've got a bunch of these PEs because not this one. This one was actually gifted to me by Nick DePaula. He knows I'm a 49er fan. This is Jerry Rice's PE, which has the team logos in it, which they did not... I don't think they actually had the rights to do at that time, but Jerry Rice played for the 49ers, Raiders, and the Seahawks. And this is obviously just a 49er colorway, which is amazing. I think Aaron Cooper designed these. He was on the Cars and Kicks podcast. If you haven't listened to that, you should definitely go check it out because he tells some amazing stories about how he got to where he is and what he's done. And he's just an incredible human being. And yeah, this shoe, I should have all of mine up here, to be honest, but I don't. I mentioned these before. Zoom Turf. This is the retro version. This is just the one that I wear. I don't wear the originals because they fall apart. But this is a Schumacher colorway. This is not necessarily one of my favorite. I mean, it's absolutely one of my favorite shoes. The colorway is kind of like a normal retro colorway, but this is like the Chicago Bulls kind of Scottie Pippen era of the Flight 89. I prefer the royal blue colorway, but I have these because I want to try to see if I can soften this leather. Nike made these with really cheap leather. When was this from? This is probably from like 5 years ago now. Does it matter? Do people care when a shoe came out? Probably not. 2019, yeah, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Flight 89 is obviously an iconic shoe, one of my absolute favorites, but this particular one I just bought because I wanted to see if I could soften this leather using some stuff that I have. I haven't gotten around to doing that, but I'll have a video on that in a few weeks, hopefully. So hit subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, last three pairs. And just because they're at the bottom doesn't mean that they're not important to me. Actually, I would argue just the opposite. Chutney Air Jordan 20. This, I want to say, is the East Coast version. This is absolutely one of my favorite shoes of all time. Lasering. I thought the lasering just looked perfect on this shoe. I love the 20 by itself, but this particular colorway with the Chutney, I think it just shows the lasering better. I don't know if that comes across on camera, but look at it. You can see the Air Jordan 4 right there in the lasering. That's crazy. Bananas. I actually wore these a couple of months ago for the first time in quite a while. So the Jordan 20 is one of those shoes where I think that they should have finished at the Jordan 20. Of course, if you see the 23, you know that they should have gone to the 23. But anyway, this is probably not representative of how many Sauconys I have in my collection because this is the first time you're seeing a Saucony. And this is one of their very first collaborations. I want to say this is from 2004 or 2005. I think 2006 actually. Floor Lords is a breakdancing crew out of Boston, and they got like 3 colorways, which if you've been on the community calls in the Discord, you've seen probably all 3 of them from me. But this is one of my favorite shoes of all time. This is the Saucony Courageous. I just love this style of shoe. It's kind of just that era where I couldn't afford Nikes, and I went and tried out all the other brands. So this particular shoe being like Saucony's first collaboration where they actually partnered with somebody and put somebody's name on the shoe, it's pretty badass, to be honest. To think that they did that with like 3 colorways of this shoe is pretty impressive. But I wear these pretty regularly. I wear the other colorway pretty regularly. It's behind there because I recently wore them. And then last but not least, this is a shoe that was gifted to me by my good friend Joe Rain. Shout out to you, man. You've been so supportive of what I do over the past 10 years or whatever it's been. And I'm just so appreciative of you. But like, you do these things where you send me a shoe that's been on my bucket list. This is the Michael Siebel Super Skate Mid, the hemp version that, you know, like I wanted this shoe because he used to shoot and write for Thrasher and you know, all these other companies. He's kind of just like one of those skateboard artists that did a bunch of boards and decks that I loved growing up, and he's pretty talented as well, obviously. But this kind of shoe is one of those shoes that, you know, I just almost like you almost like forget about shoes as time passes, and this has been on my wish list for a really long time. Joe probably saw that I have like the Evan Hecox Stan Smith skates from the same era, and this shoe I think is a 2008 probably. Yeah, 2008. And Joe just sent me these randomly, and you know, this is kind of the vibe, man. Smile forever. Smile forever. Honestly, like, that's what sneakers do for me. They just make me smile. So that's a huge majority of my sneaker wall right now. It's about to change drastically. I'll probably do all new sneakers in here, or at least a majority of new sneakers, because I've got 1,000 or so plus that I need to do something with. So I appreciate all of you. If you made it through this, drop me a comment. Tell me what your favorite pair was. This is going to be a long video, but I appreciate y'all so much. I really want to make this channel something that can give me a little bit of income. As you know, I'm still trying to find work, but if I could get this channel subscriber up there and make some revenue off of these ads that you've probably had to watch this video, it would be greatly appreciated, and I could appreciate all of you for just watching, supporting, liking, commenting, all those things. But most importantly, tell me what your favorite pair was from the wall, and maybe tell me which one you hadn't seen before if you're a longtime follower. I appreciate y'all. Catch you in the next one. Make sure you listen to the Sneaker History Podcast every Monday. Peace.